Hello, friends. Hope you're having a great day today. I want to talk to you about 11 reasons, 11 ways, 11 factors that make Seth Godin's AltMBA so successful. And many of them, I believe, you can take and then you should take and you should implement them in your own education. And I mean that in two ways. First, that you should not participate if you want true transformation in courses or in education that's not going to help you. Stop spending your money on things that don't help you, and stop blaming yourself so much, because online course creators, online education has a problem. And the problem is that students aren't winning. The problem is that people say ultimately it's up to the student. And I believe that ultimately students are set up to fail. And the only people that always win are the people who get paid first. And so I want to talk to you today about 11 ways that I believe Seth Godin has built the AltMBA that ensure student success. Because ultimately that's our responsibility as online educators to make sure that our students are successful. I want to talk about 11 ways that Seth is doing that. And to be clear, he is currently getting 96% completion rates for the AltMBA. And AltMBA is this $3,000 program that you can apply to and be part of, I think 3 or 4 times a year. And the AltMBA is a 1-month program. They have 14 assignments they do in that 1 month. They have coaches. It's very, very involved. I want to talk to you about now the 11 ways, the 11, I won't call them tricks, methods that Seth is using to find so much success in his AltMBA program. And again, apply these to your own way of educating others, but also demand more of those who you buy programs from. Demand them to do more of this and less of the current junk that's going on, that people are making lots and lots of money, but students are not winning. So here we go. All right, so the first question you have to ask yourself is this just about information or is it about transformation? Because if it's just information, you don't necessarily need all the things I'm going to talk about. But if you want transformation, I do believe you need all the things I'm going to talk about. So let's dig into it. So one of the first things that you need is you need enrollment. And Seth describes this as that the job of any class is not to cajole, is his word. It's not to convince people. You need people that are already bought in. You need people that are enrolled, meaning they chose to be there. He says the job of the course isn't to cajole, it's to transform. Enrollment and the outcome and the process is the secret to effective education. So the secret is, yes, you stack the deck. Yes, you get people who invest financially and also invest their time and also invest emotionally into the process. So you make sure that you've got students who want to learn, right? That's enrollment. The second thing is intentional tension. That means that you are intentionally creating tension. It requires more work to create tension than to just put it on autopilot. And tension means you have to offer a synchronous experience. That means at the same time, right? You have to have higher standards for taking action. You have to challenge people's thinking. You have to force them to be vulnerable. It requires experiences instead of just theory. It requires you to be open with your peers, right? And here's what Seth says. He says, we learn what we do, not what we're told. And far too much online education is lecture-based, and that is just telling people things, not doing it. So intentional tension is one of the most important keys to learning and student growth. Choosing enthusiasm. This is Muggsy Bogues. He was 5'5". He was an NBA basketball player. He was a stud. And you better believe that he had a lot of enthusiasm in his play because he wasn't 7 feet tall. Right? He was 5'5". And one of the other ways that you can be successful in online education is you have to choose people to be a part of the process that are enthusiastic. He says that every admitted student shares the same mindset of seeking true growth. So make sure that you are choosing students that want true growth. The next one is a word that you don't hear very often, and it's the sojourner. The sojourner effect. A sojourner is someone who walks alongside or walks with you. Having other people walk the same path at the same time as a point of reference is very encouraging. Positive peer pressure creates an environment of improvement. So people join classes because they think they're paying for the coach, but really they're usually paying for community, right? And Seth says this: everyone makes promises, everyone shows up, and everyone connects. So when you do those things, you get the Sojourner Effect, which is everyone moves forward together. That requires you to connect students with each other. And if you're in a course and you're not connected intimately with other students, you're much less likely to succeed. The next is to be in sync. This is that everyone should be making the same move at the same time. This is the synchronous, meaning in sync, right? You hear that sync, synchronous? That yes, people should be going at the same pace. That will help everyone in the long run. This is one that I think needs to be talked about, and that is that there is an element of the people who join AltMBA that they want to make dad proud. They don't want to disappoint Seth Godin. But transfer this to yourself. One of the reasons that people are so focused on completing the course, one of them, the program, is because they don't want to disappoint Seth. Why? Because Seth has been so generous to them. And so I do believe you can do this, that you will have people that simply do not want to fail you as the educator. That you feel like I owe it to them to complete this and to finish this. So that's the making dad or making mom proud idea. The next is to remember to divide and then serve. You don't have to be the only coach. You can teach others how to serve students. Right, this is the staff. This is the coaches. In the AltMBA, they have a coaching staff that teaches others how to encourage and move the students forward. Remember to use tools as bridges to other students, bridges to outcomes. So the AltMBA uses some tools that I use, WordPress, Zoom, and Slack as a way to communicate with each other. So make sure when you're using different tools in your education that they're building bridges. They're connecting people. Those are the best kinds of tools. Make them simple. They're not very expensive at all. Most of them are free. I believe that the AltMBA is also successful because it has less options. You have to go through at this time. You have to start at a certain date and end at a certain date. You have to show up for these times for the classes. You have 3 different time zones, but once you choose one, you're in that one. Right? They have a full Sunday study work session day on Sunday. Sunday, right? And it's not Saturday or Monday or Tuesday. It's Sunday, and it's all day. Right, these are important things. You have less options. This is Mark Zuckerberg's closet, by the way, and he doesn't worry about what he wears. Less options can be a very good thing. 2 more, a plan. Your plan doesn't have to be a well-paved road, but you do have to have a plan. This is a path through a forest someone has made. This is not natural, right? But it's still a plan. It's not necessarily easy, but it's still a plan. You need to have a plan for people. That plan is not, oh, I'm going to make it super easy for you because you're going to grow so much when it's easy. No, of course not. We don't learn when things are easy. We learn when we are challenged and when there's tension. And so be focused on creating a plan for people, but don't make it so easy. If there's no tension, there will be no growth. The last one is that when you do this, listen, when you have so much success, what will happen? When you know that in the race, in the program, that 96% are going to complete, guess what people don't want? People don't want to be part of the 4%. People assume success when you have a successful program. If you have a class where only 5% succeed and you talk about that, people usually, for the most part, people will not assume they're going to be part of the 5%. But if you have a class or a program or a course where 95% of people are successful, then people will start to assume success. So If you are focused on student success and you can be really hands-on very early in the process and you can get those success numbers up, number one, you can use that in your marketing and say, hey, 80% of people take this course succeed or achieve, the desired outcome. But also, you're going to help people become mass evangelists for what you're doing. Help people win as the online educator. And stop saying it's ultimately up to the students. Because students all want to succeed. It's up to us as online educators to create something that will allow them to succeed. Let me be clear about this. I'm not happy, and most people are not happy with the state of online education because it's not helping students. It's helping people who get paid for it, and a lot of those people really do want to make their courses better. They just don't know how. Because there is a tension between how do I scale this, how to become less involved, how do I automate, and then how do I get student success. And I believe that ultimately those are not going to fit, they are going to collide. And you just simply have to decide as an online educator and as an online student, what are you going to tolerate? What are you going to tolerate as an online student? Are you willing to buy into a course where 1% of students succeed? Why would you do that? And why would you blame yourself for that failure? You shouldn't. Online educators need to take responsibility if over 90% of their students are not getting through the content. That's not just a student problem, that's an educator problem. That's not just a consumer problem, that's a business provider problem. And we need to have higher standards as educators, and we need to have higher standards as students. Before you buy a course, you need to say what percent achieve the desired outcome. Now, that may not mean that they complete the course and they finish it completely. It might mean that they say, yes, this was worth my money. So, for instance, Brian Harris with 10K subs. If I join his course and I only get 5,000 subscribers and I started at 2,000, does that mean I failed? No, not unless my desired outcome was 10,000 subscribers. So, why aren't we asking more questions about, would you recommend this course to other people? Did you get your money's worth out of this course? These are things that are just not talked about in this entrepreneurial, go get courses, funnel world. And listen, I love online courses. I love it when I get money in my Stripe account from someone I don't know because they bought one of my courses. I love it. It's great. But as educators and as students, we need to have higher standards and more transparency in this area. And I believe that Seth Godin, again, thank you, Seth, is changing this. He's changing this. But we all have to adopt higher standards. And the only way that will happen is if you hold course creators accountable. If they're going to make less money because people find out that so few people are successful. And I'll end with this. We need to stop saying it's ultimately up to the students for their success. Stop saying, well, ultimately it's up to the students. Because ultimately, students, for the most part, are being set up to fail. That's ultimately what's happening. If you tell me to water my garden and you give me this cup right here, that's it, you are ultimately setting me up to fail. So yes, do the students have to do the work? Yes. But students, for the most part, are not being set up to succeed because people want to have hands off. I'm not going to touch it. Automate. And they charge thousands of dollars for that. And you know what? They're allowed. But we need to have a higher standard so we can sleep better at night, knowing that we're selling courses like this, and to be transparent. What is the success rate? And how can we continue to feed this problem by charging X amount with such poor outcomes? I do think there's a different conversation for a $50 course than a $5,000 course. But if you as a student want to be more successful, then stop buying things that aren't really helping you. And if you as an online educator want to really grow a reputable business and sleep well at night, then stop ripping people off by selling where 95% of people fail and start doing something about it. And will it cut into your margins and will it take more time? Probably. But I think it's ultimately the right thing to do. So I'm going to wrap up and say thank you for watching. My name is Andy Traub. You can find me at takepermission.com. You can like my page at facebook.com/AndyTraubPublic. And if you have thoughts on this, share it below. And if this has been helpful to you and you think it would be helpful to others, please, right now, hit the share button, write a little comment about what you thought was good, and share it with others. That would be awesome. God bless you. Keep shipping. The world needs your art. Thanks.